Hi Solitary Witches, it's Pandora. I'm back with another Tuesday video for you guys here on Starting Out Solitary, and this week we are talking about our relationship to Deity. So talking about my relationship with Deity is very personal to me, and it's something that I was initially reluctant and hesitant to do on my own personal channel. However, I took the plunge several months ago and made a video talking about my personal process and experiences working with the goddess Lilith, and the response was really supportive for the most part. Like, I got a lot of really positive comments, and the comments that weren't positive were interesting at the very least. I can at least say that. So it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I kind of expected to get a lot of criticism and a lot of people telling me that I was doing it wrong and things like that. But I really want to emphasize at the start of this video that everybody's journey is unique, everybody's relationship with Deity is personal to them, and like Kellyanne Maddox has said in the past, because she's made it quite open on her channel, that she works with the Norse goddess Hel, so Hel, the Norse goddess of the underworld, and she gets a lot of people kind of asking her a lot of questions about how to work with Hel and how to approach Hel and how to approach working with Hel and everything like that. And I've actually found a similar thing has happened since I've talked about working with Lilith, and I really want to emphasize that I'm not the fountain of knowledge about Lilith, and I don't know the be-all and end-all about working with her and all of the ins and outs and everything that you could possibly ever do. And I really just encourage you to research her for yourself if you are interested in working with her, and to trust yourself and to trust your own inner knowing and your own process, and to just be on your own journey. Not saying that I'm not happy to help where I can and to give you advice or to suggest things and things like that, but I just really want to emphasize that any deity that I mention in this video, I'm not the be-all and end-all of knowledge. I'm not the know-it-all about that deity. So I just really want to emphasize that. So yeah, very excited to get into talking about this, and I just hope that this video doesn't get too long and rambly, really. So I'll go right back to the start. My very first ever relationship that I had with Deity was as a young child, being raised Christian. So obviously I had a relationship with the Christian God and Jesus Christ. So I sort of would pray, and like, I'd go to church and I'd listen to what the pastor said, and I'd think about God and Jesus, and I kind of had my way of thinking about them, which I guess you could say was quite immature, and I feel that it wasn't very deep and profound, which is why I didn't continue on that path as I got older, and why I did become interested in paganism and the occult and Wicca and witchcraft and everything like that. So I was 13 when I first started getting interested in witchcraft and reading books and everything like that, and looking it up on the internet, which like some people had in those days already, but not everybody did. So yeah, I guess the first concept of deity that I had was more your generalized Wiccan-esque kind of the goddess and the god, so the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. And I also thought of nature as sacred, so nature, I guess, was kind of a deity to me. But again, I still wasn't having that really deep, profound experience with deity yet at that stage. So I guess as I got older and as I left school and moved out on my own and everything like that, different things became trendy in paganism, and I've sort of started thinking about this a while ago, and I think that different deities can come in and out of fashion in paganism, and different things can be on trend, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that that necessarily invalidates anyone's individual experience. I think that it can still be sincere and profound and very meaningful to you, even if it is, you know, if you are working with the Morrigan and she happens to be trendy and there's a lot of people working with the Morrigan, it doesn't mean that your connection to the Morrigan is not meaningful to you, if that makes sense. So yeah, I guess different things became trendy, and I wanted to have a matron deity and a patron deity, and the matron and patron that I had were the Greek goddess Gaia, so goddess of the earth and the mother earth and everything like that, and the Celtic god Cernunnos. And at first I sort of thought, well, is that wrong of me to have different gods from different pantheons as a matron and patron? And I sort of thought, well, maybe it should be Gaia and Pan, or Cernunnos and Danu, which is the Celtic earth mother archetype sort of goddess. But then I thought, no, Gaia is really what represents Mother Earth to me, and she represents the earth and nature and all of that good stuff, and to me she is the perfect representation of that Earth Mother archetype. And the same with Cernunnos. He to me represents everything wild and free, and he's you know, the god of nature and the forests and wild animals and that divine spark of life and everything like that, and passion. And to me he is perfect to represent the divine masculine to me. So I just went, okay, I'm just going to do it. I don't have to tell anybody about it. Like, I wasn't talking a whole lot about what I was doing at that time publicly, because of that backlash that I was afraid of people criticizing me and saying that it was wrong and you can't have a matron and patron from different pantheons and things like that. But that was what I did. So and I found that it worked really well. To me, it represented what it needed to represent, and it was significant to me. So yeah, and then I got into meditation and different spirituality, and sort of looked a little bit beyond paganism and started to get interested in Buddhism for a while, and that was when Kuan Yin came through. So then I was reading books and like looking up Kuan Yin, and I was working with her quite a lot because she's the goddess of mercy and compassion. So I really feel like I needed that in my life, and I needed to learn how to have compassion for myself as well as others. So I started working with Kuan Yin, and then the Kuan Yin Oracle by Alana Fairchild, published by Blue Angel, came out, and that was an absolutely fantastic oracle deck. It's still one of my favorite oracle decks to this day, and I loved working with that, and I still love working with that. And then the Isis Oracle came out, also by Alana Fairchild and published by Blue Angel. And for a while I really, really liked the idea of working with Isis, and I still do. I love everything that she represents. She is such a powerful, empowered, like loving goddess. She's such a force for getting it done, and just a really fantastic goddess to work with. And so yeah, I started to work with her, and she sort of first of all, I'll just make it clear, I'm a little bit agnostic. Like, I don't necessarily believe that gods exist in their own right. However, the way that I work with them is as though they are. So whether it's her talking to me and communicating with me, or whether it's actually my higher self, doesn't really matter. I guess it's kind of that chaos magic idea of belief as a tool. So with that out of the way, I started working with Isis, and you know, she wanted me to acquire certain things, which I acquired, and then she sort of started giving me some guidance that I wasn't following. Like, she'd tell me to do courses, or to clear up this clutter and set up a shrine for me, and or a shrine for Isis rather. And so I wasn't doing it, and then like as the months went on, it kind of became this thing where she was like, she kind of broke up with me. It was like, she said, if you're not going to follow this guidance that I'm giving you, then I can't work with you anymore. And is, you know, the most firm, loving way. So, which is, from my experience, is always the way with the goddess Isis. She's very firm but very loving, and she'll just tell you in no uncertain terms, but she won't be kind of mean about it, but just really firm. So yeah, I broke up with Isis, and around that time I was going through a lot, and I started to feel like I should be working with an aspect of the dark goddess, so a darker aspect of the goddess rather. And so I kind of had this feeling, and I was reading books, and I was, you know, working on myself and my own recovery with mental illness and everything like that. And later on, I'll link to my video about Lilith below, so you can watch that if you're interested. But that was when the goddess Lilith came through, and I feel that Lilith has been more gentle on me with those things that Isis was a bit tougher on me with, and that like, there's a time and a place for that tough love, but you need to take the hard and soft approach with yourself as well, and Lilith has helped me take that soft approach that I needed. So I've worked with Lilith for almost 3 years now, and I absolutely love her. Oh, sorry, I just have to get my daughter. Hello, are you looking for Mummy? Yeah, come in. Say hello. So yes, I've worked with Lilith for almost 3 years, and more recently, just since this last spring, a new goddess has come forth for me, and that is the Norse goddess Freya. And she has been such an amazing goddess to work with. She's such a goddess of magic and light and joy. And so I've planted a garden for her. Part of working with her is gardening. So I've planted some flowers and I've harvested my flowers, and I've been really amping up my magical practice. So I've become a lot more active in my magical practice since working with Freya, and she has helped me move past a lot of doom and gloom and to step into that joy and lightness that she represents to me. So yeah, that's pretty much me talking about, oh, you want to pick things off? You want to take things off? Off you go then, just don't break anything. Pretty. Sorry about the interruption, guys. But yeah, so that's my little ramble about working with personified deity, or what my relationship with deity is like. So if you have any questions, please ask them down below. And again, I do encourage you to have your own, to be on your own journey and have your own relationship with gods and deity in whatever way you perceive it. And I don't think there's any right and wrong when it comes to this, as long as you're not hurting anybody, obviously. So yes, thanks for watching this video, and I will see you next time here on Starting Out Solitary. Bye!
Bye!
Bye! You want to press the button? Press the button?